SEMO head coach Tom Matukewicz, the team coming off a loss against national ranked Central Arkansas this past week. They're going to be homecoming. Eastern Illinois is coming to town. So thoughts on your team, coach, and we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, we talk about 24 hours and being able to turn the page, and so that's harder to do with the type of loss we have, but that's our job, so we're going to make sure that happens. Excited about homecoming, excited about being home, excited to kind of start a new season with the OVC and take on a quality opponent like EIU.
Thanks, Coach. I know there's lots of questions. People have already called me in the chat. I'll call on everybody. We'll go Tom Davis first. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for your time today. You had mentioned that you were going to make some changes in nutrition and halftime and maybe some other game routine changes to try to fix that fourth quarter dilemma that you're having. What are some of the specifics that you're addressing with that?
We changed the type of snacks that we're offering. We kind of were a lot of sugars, and so we changed that. And then I don't know if you noticed, when we come out of half, we have like this circuit training thing that we're fundamentally doing. And really the third quarter has improved, to be honest. Third quarter was a big concern, but so I think there has been progress, but obviously that wasn't what was causing our fourth quarter problem.
Going into the Eastern Illinois game, without getting into specifics that give Eastern Illinois info, will there be personnel changes or schematic changes from what you've done over the last 3 games?
Not necessarily. There are, we got a couple injuries. There are some, we're still evaluating some of our younger players, but there won't be any significant where you guys would be able to tell.
Okay. Any coaching role changes, because I know you have a defensive background, will you be taking a bigger role in some regard in managing the defense?
No.
Okay. One of the young players that has stood out, Kalani Riddick. I don't know his story. How did you guys find him in California, and what has been your impression of his play so far?
Yeah, big fan of Kalani. He goes by Tico. But we were, as we lost one of our players to K-State kind of late.
Yeah.
Those are never good. And so we're trying to find one. Joe Jackson, our new corners coach, basically was a hound dog and just snipped one out. And they know when they bring a kid in from California, they know I'm going to be like, hey, this guy, come on now. But he kept checking all the boxes, and he ended up being a good fit, got more playing time, and didn't play as well as he had hoped. But there were some things there that we liked, and so I think he'll continue to improve.
Okay, and last question from me, because my dogs are going crazy in the background. Mental state of your team. I don't know how much interaction you have with your team on a Monday, but where is the mental state of your team? Are they moving forward? Are they frustrated, angry? Are they just excited about this Saturday? Where are they mentally?
We practice, so we meet with them and practice Mondays.
Oh, okay.
Quite a bit. And it was, I would use the words inspiring, the way they practiced, the way that they got after it yesterday, just, is fun to watch. I've been coaching this team since January. The one consistent I could tell you is they've always showed up. They've never laid an egg as far as their, wanting to be there, wanting to get after it. We haven't always been good at it, but they've shown up, and I know they'll show up this Saturday.
All right. Thanks for your time, Coach.
You bet.
We're going to do Dan and then Jake. So next up, Dan, who Prairie State Pigskin covers EIU, Coach. So Dan, go ahead with your questions.
Good morning, Coach. I just have one question. You played Eastern late in the season last year. This year they've got Pierce Holly at quarterback. What have you noticed about him as compared to what they've had in the past?
I mean, I maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think, he's one of the biggest reasons that they're having success. It really is. You know, you could tell he's played a lot of football, and because he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And of course, he's talented. He's had good numbers at his previous job, or previous place. And so I really have been impressed, not only with his playmaking, but his decision making as far as not turning it over.
I'd agree with you on that, and Coach Wilkerson said the same thing. So thank you very much.
And then we'll go to Jake from WSIL. Go ahead, Jake.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm awesome.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about, I know you mentioned to me last week that I asked you if your team was getting complacent when it came to the fourth quarter, and you said, you couldn't read minds and didn't know what they were thinking, and something along the lines of, if you could read minds, you would start with your wife's. I was curious to know if you've ever been in your coaching career, a team that has had these big type of leads like you're having now and has found ways to lose them or slip away or have them blown late in the games. And if so, how have you been able to restore those teams, and if at all?
I haven't. Of course, I've been on teams that have lost a fourth quarter game or blown a lead, but this is the first time I've ever been a part of, back to back to back fourth quarter fails. And so one of the biggest things that and they're my fault. You're talking to the reason those happen. And the reason I feel like they happen is because we lost our way. When we lost the fourth quarter SIU, it was like, oh my God, we got to win the fourth quarter. We got to win the fourth quarter. We got to win the fourth quarter. And the problem is my program's not like that. It's brick by brick. We don't talk about winning. We talk about things that win. But what happened was now all of a sudden, first, second, third quarter, like we're playing relaxed, we're just doing our jobs. Then the fourth quarter, oh my God, we got to win. And so the only thing we were thinking about was winning and not doing our job. Like penalties. We don't get a lot of penalties first, second, third. They get them in the fourth. Why? Because we're not thinking about doing our job. We're thinking about trying to win. And that was the mistake I made. I went against what I believe and made it all about winning the fourth quarter instead of making it about just do your job. We're fine. Sign off. Keep doing what you've been doing. There are some things that I do think schematically we need to lower the rep count DB wise so they're fresher at that fourth quarter. There are some other things, but if you said what's the main focus and what's the main thing, is that mentality switch that we had because I did a poor job leading.
And is the mentality of doing our job versus winning, is that something you told the team originally against SIU a couple weeks ago? Did it change then? Is that when it all flipped?
That's when, looking back on, that's when it felt like, we got hyper focused on it and we went against, our program philosophy. Yes.
How are you going to try to right the ship and get back to the program philosophy?
Just like you do anything else, it starts with clarity. It starts with owning it. This is what happened. This is why it happened. This is what we can do about it. We're practicing a 4-minute drill today on offense to get a first down. We're going to have a bunch of emotion. We're going to try to make it game-like, and all those things, just how you would accomplish any other goal as a coach,
Something you mentioned in your opening statement was getting set for conference play. Obviously, we know how important this second season is, or however you want to brand it, but would you say these are the games that matter most? I mean, this is why you play at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it and you're like, well, we're 1-4, but we still have the mission intact, that's encouraging, but it won't stay intact unless we continue to keep solving problems. But we can't make it about the conference. We got to make it about EIU. That's the only thing we can do this weekend.
And obviously, we know both programs are pretty familiar with one another. What are some challenges that maybe you feel you could exploit, considering that this team's had success against EIU in the past?
I don't know, man. They're a different team they were a year ago. The quarterback made a big impact. They're good at the hard things, meaning there's not one coach in the country that's not trying to win the turnover margin. Like everybody does that. And they're number 4 in the country. They lead the country in takeaways. Like those don't just happen. Like that is hard to do. You got to coach it well, but you also have to have a team that buys into it. And so I mean, it feels like I'm still early in the process, but it's the quarterback, their defense is really good, and they win a turnover margin, which means they're hard to beat. And they've won a lot of close games, even though this last one they didn't, but they lined up to kick a field goal in regulation to win. So, I mean, they're not losing this game. We're going to have to go out and beat them.
And to go out and do that, you'll be at home. Finally, a home afternoon game for you guys. I know you said you kind of like the night games, but can maybe you just talk more about the importance of homecoming and what it can do to the region and the community?
Yeah, we've worked extremely hard to try to get this to be a game day, not a game, an event in the community, at the campus. I spoke at a homecoming event last night with students last night, and it was packed. Like, this is really important for the program, for athletics, for our campus and community. And so we need to celebrate. We're celebrating 150 years. There's just a lot of positives. We got some former alums coming in I haven't seen. Zach Hall's a great player that hasn't been back. He's going to be back doing the flag, some stuff like that. So this is just going to be a special day. But homecoming is a lot of fun when you win, and it's
Thanks,
not
Ken.
when you lose. So, like, I wish I was more mature than that, but that's the facts.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
You bet.
Coach, appreciate you this morning. Best of luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.